Well, RINO, Senator Lindsey Graham, arguably my least favorite senator. And by the way, I've interviewed him a number of times. If you sit next to him, he's got the worst halitosis breath you've ever smelled in your life. It would literally sear the skin off a dead dog to sit next to Lindsey Graham. It is the worst. And he had to sit next to me. Ugh, awful. Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, yes, in fact, is now trying to stop RFK Jr. from becoming the head of HHS. But you know who's not? Here's Senator Rand Paul just a short time ago, proud to support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services. Finally, someone to detox the place after the Fauci era. Get ready for healthcare freedom and MAHA. Yeah, well, that might not happen. This might get torpedoed, all thanks to halitosis, Senator Lindsey Graham. Doesn't he look like he would, by the way? Can you imagine it like rotting shoe leather in that guy's mouth? Disgusting. Disgusting. Yes. Word is this afternoon, according to sources, that Senator Lindsey Graham is trying to torpedo and will not support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for head of HHS. Now, it could have something to do with Robert Kennedy, of course, last year slamming Senator Lindsey Graham over his support of going to war in Iran, his also support of nonstop funding to Ukraine, and he slammed him for that. So maybe this is his way of sort of getting back at him on all of this. What do you guys think? A friend of mine, Tucker Carlson, is not a fan of Senator Lindsey Graham. Can't stand the man, actually. And anytime Tucker gets a chance to slam Lindsey Graham, he does. Here he is speaking about, during one of his Tucker Carlson live events, you get to understand just basically how Senator Lindsey Graham is really just a Democrat in sheep's clothing. Watch.
And I'm watching this. They're literally telling me that this guy whom they've arrested is a Trump supporter. Huh? So you flip channels and then you learn that I flipped over to a channel I used to work on. And there's Lindsey Graham. And I know. He's a Republican senator from one of the most conservative states. How does that happen, by the way? If democracy is real, how is Lindsey Graham a senator? But whatever. So I'm watching Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham's looking right into the camera. And he's like, you know who did this? Iran. Iran? So I look into this. Yeah, well, that's for sure. Well, it turns out someone just yelled warmonger. Well, the guy who shot Trump was also a warmonger. And in fact, the closer you look at it, the more you realize his politics are exactly the same as Lindsey Graham's.
Yeah, isn't that troubling? The guy that shot Trump, his politics exactly the same as Lindsey Graham. Warmonger, neocon. So he's about to be primaried. I mean, I think Cat Turd just published a short time ago, like, we need to get rid of this guy. But anyway, Daryl Stout says Graham is up for re-election in 2026. We need to start a strong primary challenge campaign starting now. Lindsey Graham has got to go. This guy has fuddled up things enough. His support of these endless wars in the United States, he gets in the way all of the time. President Trump kind of goes back and forth on his support for him. If you're going to torpedo RFK Jr. as head of HHS, you need to go. I mean, one of our biggest hopes right now for remaking the healthcare system in the United States, ending this pharmaceutical stranglehold on the United States, is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as head of HHS. Get this guy out of there. So we'll see. We'll see if he backtracks on this. We'll see what happens during these confirmation hearings in a few weeks. Will there be enormous pressure and blowback? It's already happening online over the past 2 hours. It's the blowback is severe. But see, the thing is, Lindsey Graham doesn't really care. I mean, you can call him whatever you want. As Tucker Carlson has called him, a 70-year-old with no kids. I've said his he's massive halitosis. The guy is a RINO. He's a Republican in name only. He's a neocon. He's a warmonger. He's the worst of the worst in the United States Senate. But he's insulated because he has so much money that surrounds him. He's got the bubble of the military-industrial complex that protects him. The fortress of solitude. Go ahead, David.
And I just feel like it's like he doesn't take a stand, and that's the thing that's always bothered me. It's like if you were to try to like pin down where he stands on something, it just depends on where he's at right now. Other than war, he likes to flip flop an awful lot on positions, and I just
like
feel
the
like
wind,
he's kind of cowardly. Yeah.
Oh, he is if you look up coward in the dictionary, Lindsey Graham's picture will be next to it. And then if you flip the few pages to the H section and you look up halitosis, Lindsey Graham's picture will be there as well. Well, speaking of the House of Representatives and speaking of RFK Jr., you know that big continuing resolution spending bill that was just torpedoed and destroyed thanks to Elon Musk, President Trump, and Vivek Ramaswamy. Well, now we're learning what was hidden in this bill, and it's deeply, deeply troubling. Thanks to Lauren Lee for posting this just a short time ago. And this would have blocked RFK Jr. from updating his HHS protocol on vaccine injuries. The spending bill would have blocked this. On page 757, the bill would amend the previously passed Prevent Pandemic Act. The secretary may not revise the vaccine injury table to include a vaccine from which the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a recommendation for routine use in children or pregnant women until at least one application for such vaccine has been approved. Upon such revision of the vaccine injury table, all vaccines in a vaccine category on the injury table, including vaccines authorized under emergency use, shall be considered included in the vaccine injury table. So basically, none shall be eligible for compensation under the program if injury or death related to this vaccine administered at a time when the vaccine was covered, subject to declaration under this bill. So in other words, it would have prevented RFK from updating this protocol, and for people who are injured or had suffered death from getting any kind of protection or any kind of compensation from this. It would have completely hamstrung RFK Jr. And the Republicans allowed this in the bill. Speaker Johnson, along with Democrats, allowed this in the bill.
And it's like, that just shows you right there, they know exactly, like, that's a cover up. I mean, that's them admitting everything.
Yes. I mean, that's just one thing, right? That's just one of many. But Speaker Johnson, working with Democrats, he had 3 months putting all of this together. He knew that this was in there. This is an affront to the mandate of which President Trump was elected. This is an affront to the plan to make America healthy again. This is a boondoggle for the biopharmaceutical complex. So Speaker Johnson is in deep, deep trouble. Elon Musk single-handedly destroyed the omnibus bill that Speaker Johnson was trying to ram through Congress. Johnson is about to be out of a job. If I was a betting man, I would say he's almost out of a job. Just a few hours ago, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson canceled his scheduled appearance at Turning Points USA AmFest in Phoenix. So this is a bit of breaking news. Speaker Johnson was supposed to be there. He was supposed to be speaking to all these conservatives. Can you imagine Speaker Johnson walking into the AmFest in Phoenix at Turning Points USA this weekend? The boos that would erupt for this guy. A room full of conservatives. He would have been booed out of the place. Not a safe spot for him to go. No wonder he canceled. Smart move, Speaker Johnson. He's in deep trouble. Maybe he should be replaced by Elon Musk. So can you imagine Elon Musk holding the gavel in the House of Representatives? So Rand Paul posted this just a few hours ago. The Speaker of the House need not be a member of Congress. Nothing would disrupt the swamp more than electing Elon Musk. Think about it. Nothing's impossible, not to mention the joy at seeing the collective establishment, a.k.a. the Uniparty, losing their ever-loving minds. I love that. Can you imagine? And of course, liberals lost their minds over this idea. They're freaking out. Are they, because now they think, oh, they're going to do anything, right? Nina Turner, she tweeted, putting the world's wealthiest man in charge of the people's house would be the definition of the swamp. You don't truly care about the swamp. You just want your own swamp, she says. Joe from Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish that one.
Yeah, Joe from Jersey. I mean, she's verifiably one of the dumbest people on the internet, but she says this: a bunch of crybaby billionaires who never served in the military want to force millions of our troops to go without pay at Christmas. But do go on about the price of eggs, won't you? conflating two entirely different things. What the hell does that have to do with the price of eggs? What? There's nothing. Two totally unrelated topics. Has nothing to do with any. What are you talking about? If you understand the massive 1,500-page bill loaded with billions for other countries, all sorts of things that hamstring the civil liberties of Americans. Like, how are Democrats okay with any of this? But that's
well, and this is just a testament too to how how it was in the past with social media, how that, Twitter blocked people and silenced people. And that was part of the bill too. They're trying to put more, trying to censor us more. But like the fact that Elon Musk bought X and the people had a voice, it is what disrupted this bill. It is what canceled this bill. It just shows how powerful we can be when we unite and we're allowed free speech on these platforms.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was speaking to Mel K this morning, and she, she and I were talking about how, like, this is really, we have to take back this country at the grassroots level. That's the only way we're going to do it, because these corporatists, the uniparty that Rand Paul talks about, controls this country. It's not Elon Musk. It's a corporatist cabal above our government that controls everything. And it has to start at the grassroots level. And so yesterday was a testament to that. People got on the phone, as Chad Pergram from Fox News, my old colleague at Fox, was reporting. Members of Congress's phones were exploding yesterday. That, according to Chad Pergram, they couldn't, the phone just wouldn't stop ringing in these representatives' offices because they were reading tweets. And he says they were reading tweets from Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and others in real time and demanding that their members of Congress do not vote for this bill. Elon Musk tweeted this. He's been working overtime to stop the House spending bill. He said yesterday, any member of the House or Senate who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. Primaried, destroyed. 37 million views of this tweet. See that? 37 million people saw that.
Well, do you remember when he tweeted out a while back that he would fund primarying these people? Yeah. Like, he will literally put his money behind primarying these people.
Yeah. So Senator Lindsey Graham, you're on watch. You're on watch. But then you saw these members of the House start falling like dominoes. Like, even like Representative Luna of Florida, she said, Anna Paula Luna, she said, a lot of folks in her district needed hurricane relief, which was in this bill. But she said she was receiving phone calls from these people that needed relief saying, we don't want to vote for you to vote for this bill because it's lumped together with all of this other pork. So yes, we need relief, but please don't vote for this bill. Wow. So people are getting it now. Because of X, because of the power of social media, this information is getting out there now in a way that it was hidden and suppressed before. So people understand that this is a massive boondoggle for all of these companies and special interests. And even the people that need hurricane relief, pass a separate bill. Pass a hurricane relief bill. In the same way that you pass a Ukraine aid bill, you can do that for the people of Florida and North Carolina, can't you? Of course you can. So as Elon Musk tweeted yesterday, and then Vivek Ramaswamy joined the social media conversation, saying on TikTok that the bill contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding. So feel free to call your congressman and let them know how you feel about it. Listen.
Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money, but they made it over 1,500 pages long so you wouldn't read it. I did you a favor. I read it for you. It's supposed to be about keeping government operations open and providing disaster relief aid to hurricane victims, which I'm sympathetic to. But if you read the bill carefully, it contains pay raises for members of Congress, and I'm not making this up, an expansion of their federal health benefits. It contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding, including opening up a new stadium in Washington, D.C. It renews the Global Engagement Center, which is a key node of the censorship industrial complex. And the worst part is, they didn't want you to know about any of it, and that's why they made this a last-minute jam job. The reason I'm co-heading DOGE is I think we need outsiders to bring actual accountability to Washington, D.C. So feel free to call your congressman and let him know how you feel about it.
They did. By the millions. Phones ringing off the hook. So now what? Like, what's going to happen now? Go back to the drawing board. There is no new bill. There's nothing. There's nothing. They're going to have to scrap all of this. Do you know the continuing resolution to keep the government open piece of this is only 6 pages long? The rest of it, the 1,500 pages, the rest of it is all these pork. And I think, we've been doing this every year. This gets passed every year. We complain about it, gets passed every year. This may be the first time in modern American history where it doesn't get passed. And they just passed a CR just to keep the government open, but they don't pass any of this other pork spending in there. So we'll see. But, can Elon Musk become Speaker of the House? Just ask Grok. Grok, of course, the AI on Twitter. Is Elon Musk eligible to be Speaker of the House? Grok answers, Elon Musk is not eligible to be Speaker of the House due to constitutional requirements related to the line of presidential succession. Speaker of the House is second in line to succeed the presidency, and the U.S. Constitution specifies that only natural-born citizens can serve as president or vice president. He was born in South Africa, so would it disqualified? It would disqualify him from holding the office of the presidency. But, this is a constitutional question. Would he be eligible to serve as Speaker of the House?
It seems to me that no, just because that would put you third in command, or like in the chain of command.
Right.
So it'd basically be like, it wouldn't be a constitutional crisis until it was, and then it would be a pretty big one.
Right.
Well, and yeah. Thomas Massey joined the Doge team. I saw yesterday he was in with, and so right. I'd take him as Speaker.
Oh, I would take, Congressman Massey any day of the week. He pissed a lot of people off. And, there's calls now, of course, to not pass any bills until Trump takes office in January 20th. Like Congress is trying to ram through this stuff before he comes in. And they're hoping you won't notice. But thanks to the power of social media, thanks to Elon Musk, regardless of what you think about him, there's a lot that I have trouble with Elon about. But on this issue, I'm glad this got torpedoed. We've got a lot more news to get to here. We're going to talk about these drones. We're going to talk about the Fani Willis. Huge news on the Fani Willis case, and CNN is like melting down over this. And of course, we have Luigi Mangione, the shooter of the CEO of United Healthcare, being perp walked in New York City. Why was Eric Adams there? I'm going to show you that video in just a second. Every single day I use ExpressVPN. We wouldn't be able to do our show here at Redacted without it because so many of the news sources we need to access are censored. So let me explain how this works. ExpressVPN is an app that encrypts and reroutes your online traffic through secure servers. Now, how does that work for us? Well, for instance, every day I use ExpressVPN to access different news sites around the world because of censorship in a lot of these countries, whether it's in Canada or Europe or even in the United States. Websites are blocked. Many of our Canadian viewers have trouble accessing our shows sometimes. In France, many important websites are blocked all throughout Europe. I mean, this is a common occurrence because of censorship. This is what we're living in right now through this era of censorship. It's really, really sad. But ExpressVPN allows you to anonymously reroute your traffic through any server that you want. So very often I'll use one in the United States. I'll use a server. You can pick one like in New Jersey or Arizona or other parts of the country. You can go to Iceland if you want to, or neutral Switzerland. You can pick servers all over the world to anonymously surf the web. And the worst, of course, is public Wi-Fi. If you're at a coffee shop or something like that and you want to do some banking or some personal emails, you should never, ever, ever just be surfing on public Wi-Fi without having ExpressVPN turned on, running in the background to protect yourself. That's all because hackers can easily steal your personal data when you're using unsecured public Wi-Fi. ExpressVPN has been on my computer for years. It's a must-use app that I use every single day here on Redacted. Natalie has it turned on and running on her computer as well. It's constantly running on the background, not only on our phones, but on our main desktop computers. Right now, you can take advantage of ExpressVPN's offer to get the absolute best VPN. Just go to expressvpn.com/redacted to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Well, Fani Willis has been disqualified. She is done. Say goodbye to Fani Willis. How many of you guys are going to miss Fani Willis? Atlanta District Attorney Fani Willis. I call her Fanny. She will no longer be able to prosecute President-elect Donald Trump for his election interference case in Georgia. The case will go forward, although how it will fare without her, of course, is now a major question mark. So CNN, though, is losing their ever-loving minds covering this story. It's just so much fun to watch CNN collapse.
We begin this hour with breaking news just into CNN. The Georgia prosecutor leading the state's election interference case against President-elect Donald Trump is now disqualified. CNN's Caitlin Polantz is here with more. Caitlin, what can you tell us about this? This is just coming in the last several minutes. This is a big development.
A big development, and a big development that Donald Trump has wanted for a long time. That case against him in Georgia, the criminal case where it's accusing him and several others of a racketeering conspiracy related to the 2020 election, it's already been paused. Now it's not even backburnered. This is a case that will be dead in the water because the Georgia Court of Appeals is now saying that Fani Willis, the leader of the prosecution against Donald Trump, the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, she should be disqualified from being able to bring that case. The Georgia Court of Appeals is saying that it's a significant appearance of impropriety caused by the conduct of a public prosecutor. That is Willis, how she behaved, how she was speaking about the case, about Trump publicly, about how she was having a relationship with the top prosecutor that was concealed in this, a man named Nathan Wade. All of that, previously, the trial level judge had looked at and said, Fani Willis can stay on this case. We're not dismissing the indictment. But the Court of Appeals is now taking another look and saying, no, the trial judge was wrong. Fani Willis should be disqualified from continuing to lead this case. It would be a long process, or it will be a long process, to replace her, which is why I say this case is dead in the water now without Fani Willis, the person who was leading this case against Donald Trump in Fulton County. And just to keep tabs on how many cases there are against Donald Trump criminally, the other two in federal court, January 6th, and classified documents, those are dismissed. And then the additional case in New York City where he was set to be sentenced, that sentencing is now not happening. So as Donald Trump enters the presidency, each of these courts that is handling a criminal case is essentially removing that issue from him to have to deal with in any period of time in the near future.
All right, Caitlin Polantz, thanks for that added perspective. Let me bring in CNN.
Oh, Jim Acosta about to cry. He can't stand it. Oh, all the impropriety of Fani Willis is now has disqualified her. How dare they? An appeals court ruled to disqualify Willis because she had a romantic relationship with her special prosecutor, Nathan Wade. They fought that ruling that allowed her to stay on the case if Wade resigned, and so do other co-defendants. So it just calls her unprofessional, and in fact said that during the hearings. But it doesn't go so far as to sanction her yet. So we'll see. But we'll see where this goes from here. I mean,
I was gonna say the media. They're going to lose their minds because they're starting to lose all their talking points. Just keep losing more and more and more. Like, we can't say that anymore. We can't say that anymore. Then they just paid $15 million for the George Stephanopoulos stuff. News? Like, they're losing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see. Yeah, and now, like on The View, they're not going to be able to say this anymore, and they're going to keep all of these cases are going to be dismissed and dropped aside. But this one will continue. We'll just have to see how it's going to go there. Let's talk about the CEO shooting. This was a pretty remarkable moment. Luigi Mangione in New York City today, and a really remarkable moment. Take a look at this. The accused killer arrived back in New York, and it was hit with new federal and murder stalking charges. That's because, according to investigators, he was likely planning the attack as early as August. But look at this. This is the perp walk. So they did this for the cameras, helicopters. Look in the back there. There's Mayor Eric Adams walking along. Like, have you ever seen anything like this? Like, what sort of a message do you think that they're trying to send here?
I have on Game of Thrones.
Right. Shame. So is this trying to send a message to all those people that are, that were out in sort of support of Luigi? Like, wanting to go and attack, CEOs of companies? I don't know, but it's very odd that like Eric Adams is like walking behind him it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Do they do this for every suspect the murder suspect that they capture? Like Mayor Adams doesn't come out for literally every single one of them and walk them down the aisle, so to speak? Huh.
No, it's all for the cameras, of course. This is interesting, this piece of it now, because investigators are likely say that he was planning this attack as far back as August. Federal crimes now, federal murder, additional charges, stalking charges, because he was following this guy. He was mapping this out for months. He knew his movements, knew where he was going. And on August 15th, in his diary, Mangione wrote, quote, "The details are finally coming together," expressing satisfaction that his delayed preparations allowed him to learn more about United Healthcare, which he described as checking every box for his target. So he was like narrowing down different targets. Then October 22nd, he in these writings referenced an upcoming investor conference, indicating his plan to, quote, whack the CEO of an insurance company who would be in attendance. He then referred to the conference as a true windfall for himself, suggesting that, this intended message against the insurance sector would become self-evident. So the message that he's sending to the health insurance industry. They also found another letter, according to the New York Post, addressed to, quote, the feds, in which Luigi claimed to have acted alone, describing the scheme as trivial and mentioning the use of basic computer-aided design in his preparations, CAD designs. He also said that it was all self-funded through his own ATM withdrawals. So he's like going to great lengths to like say, hey, it's just me doing this. No one else is involved. I'm funding it myself with my own ATM withdrawals. I'm putting that down on paper. Okay. So apparently, according to these notes, it was the result of months of meticulous planning towards the health industry. Let's talk about the drones now, shall we? Because the Federal Aviation Administration has issued a temporary ban on drone operations now over New Jersey, effective last night to January 17th, 2025. So this here is the drone zone, if you want to take a look at your screen. This is the drone zone, the no-fly zone for drones. Almost takes up all of New Jersey. It covers all of like Bruce Springsteen's homes. But all, what's interesting is like, so all of the stuff where they were seeing stuff coming out of the water and along the coastlines, you're fine there. You're fine all the way down there. But as far as like the main area of New Jersey towards heading into Pennsylvania, you can't fly drones there.
So Iran's mothership is okay. They're
right.
They're fine to. Gotcha.
So out in the water over Iran's mothership, you're fine there. And down into Cape May and all of that, where they were seeing 50 drones coming out of the water, fine. That's fine. This area, though, here, you can't fly. So it has Jersey City, Elizabeth, Edison, New Jersey. And the FAA has cautioned that drones are posing an imminent security threat. If they are, they may be met with deadly force. Here's the news report.
The Federal Aviation Administration imposed emergency flight restrictions across multiple New Jersey locations Thursday, banning drone operations through January 17th for special security reasons. The directive prohibits uncrewed aircraft within a 1 nautical mile radius and up to 400 feet in altitude, unless operators receive special government clearance. The FAA designated major hubs like Camden, Jersey City, Elizabeth, and South Brunswick as national defense airspace. Violators could face severe penalties, including interception, detention, certificate revocation, and potential criminal charges.
All right. So what are they looking for? What the hell is going on? We're going to have much more of that. We're going to speak with a former FBI agent who was in charge of essentially the FBI's X-Files, who 1 year ago on our show said we would see a fake alien invasion and predicted it and said this is coming. We're going to speak to him in just a short amount of time. But back in 1999, this video has surfaced today, and I think it's relevant for what we're about to see heading into Trump's inauguration. Like, what in the world are they planning right now before Trump takes office in January? An Area 51 worker went on the record back in 1999 in an interview and said, don't worry, in the year 2025 is when you will find out what's going on. Watch.
Had the opportunity over the years to interview, again, people who have worked at the test site at Groom Lake. One gentleman spent 12 of his 30 years in black programs at Groom Lake. When I asked him, I said, first of all, I said, do you believe in UFOs? And he looked at me with a straight face in one-on-one. He said, absolutely, positively, they do exist. said, can you expand upon that? And he said, no, I can't. About a year later, we were talking about, again, activities at Groom Lake. And I asked him, I said, you know, can you really tell me what's happening out there? And he said, well, there's a lot of things that are going on there that I won't be able to tell you until the year 2025. But we have things in the Nevada desert that would make George Lucas envious.
2025. The time's almost here. So what are we about to see in 2025?